Good morning, everyone. It's Patty in the AM. It's Monday morning, 7 a.m. here on the East Coast. And today is July 22nd, 2024. Trying to keep these in order as I date these sessions. So when I post them on YouTube, people can have some kind of order of, order doesn't really matter to me. Everything is as a whole. But today I wanted to begin my session with a question I received, and I do apologize to the person that asked the question because it was some time ago. It takes time to get to people, and that's why I always ask everyone, if you have a question, just put it right on my site. If you feel uncomfortable about asking questions in public, ask someone else to ask it on their page. There's a lot of people who are not uncomfortable about asking questions. You can be anonymous and say it's for someone else or whatever it might be, but I cannot express enough that when you have a question, it's not just you that have a question. There's many who could also benefit from your question. So if you can't do it for you and you like doing things for others, see yourself as doing it for someone else. Maybe that would give you the boost you need to ask the question. Because that's one of those old adages where it's easier to do someone else's work than it is your own. So you could look at it as just baby steps towards making things easier by doing something for others first, so you can, in order to see everything I do for another, I should be doing for myself. So it's funny because I was trying to stay on one topic this morning, but it seems like it keeps verging into that topic. So maybe this is my topic to talk on, but I will touch on the question that was asked a little bit later in our session. So what came up the other day with one of my clients is they were talking about how they're always trying to do things for their children, for their spouse, their co-workers. They're always trying to lift others up by doing things that they think would make them happier. And I have said to them, but what happens is when we try and do things that we think will make others happier, we're not only doing their work for them, but we're setting ourselves up for an expectation that this might bring them joy, when we might have the outcome of it not bringing them joy, maybe momentarily, but not on a permanent basis, because number one, this is something we think will make them happy. Have we actually asked them what they would like and given that to them? Too often we give others things that we think will make them appreciate us more or honor us more or love us more, when we're not seeing that there is nothing that you need to give to another to make them love you more, trust you more, honor you more, respect you more, adore you more. What you need to do is just be you. Just be beautiful you. So I want you to try and just look upon yourself each day and ask yourself the things that you do for others when they're beyond your reach, when you're doing them because you want to appease somebody else or make them happy or make them appreciate you or whatever it is. If it's not something you just want to do because you want to do it for you, and you're doing it for someone else that, like I said, you're hoping to be rewarded or have an expectation that they might notice it, then maybe you've got to think about, why are you doing it? Okay? Really take that into yourself as you go about the days. Do things that honor you. It's okay to do things for others, but if you're doing it because you think that it would make them happy, try to just let it go. Don't have an expectation of them to notice it, like I said, or to say thank you, or to adore you more or love you more. Remember that. So that's why it's good to have open conversations with others, one-on-one, to really know what they're feeling and what you're feeling, and how what you do might affect another or have no effect at all. So let's get back to the question that I was asked. And it is, hi, I'm feeling very downward these days. I feel as if nothing is going to happen in favor of me, leaving just keeping trust on God with believing that everything will be as fine as expected. And this really, it always sits with me, because I know it's written probably in many different ancient books, but I'm just going to use the Bible for right now, and it's probably the King James Version. It seems to be the most authentic, where if you're reading it, it's actually spoken in such a way where it basically rings your bells. It's trying to light up your chakras. The words are specific. Even if they don't seem specific, they are very much specific. Sounds equate to colors, and it's, all about, using those colors as far as the chakra colors. Who knew, right? But anyway, so back to my topic. So I wanted to use my little example of when we're thinking, feeling, of adoring, seeing something that we really, really, really love. And I know this seems a little off topic to the question that was asked, but it's kind of like a background, and I will get us there. So the other day, I'll have to show you on my phone, I took a picture, and I just thought it was the most beautiful flower. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit of a glow there, but each petal had a heart on it, and it's just a little weed of a flower. And it was just it just caught my eye. It just was a little weed that grew up amongst the grass. And I just thought, how beautiful, the heart shape of each petal and the yellow. It was just such a beautiful color. It stopped me, and I had to take a photo. And of course I shared it. But when we're telling ourselves something like that, how much we love something, we don't have an expectation. We're just enjoying that moment. And so I have a little church. It's kind of like a little thrift store kind of thing, but it's just in a little house, and just little sacred rooms. Kind of, I feel they're sacred. It feels like home to me when I go there. And I'm always giving back, and sometimes I'll find a little trinket. But it was funny because I went there one week, and what did I find was, it was this. And I had, it's not very expensive, but I wanted to make a point and help people. Do you see the flowers? It's the same flower. It was on a pendant. And then the week following, I found this picture. Hold it up correctly. And what is it? It's the same flower. So it's not so much, we get so caught up in the thought of manifesting that we don't understand the higher meaning is, if you want to manifest something, you would act as the creator. In the King James Bible, excuse me, coffee, little indigestion sometimes, even though I drink it black. But anyways, in the King James Bible, it talks about, ye are gods, meaning that we are all striving to be as our Creator God-like, so to speak. So if God has spoken, God doesn't go back to check upon that which he or she has spoken. God knows that it's already created. Doesn't have, so in this realm of love, that source, God, Allah, whatever we want to refer to as the supreme being that we're all created in that image of, it doesn't question itself. It doesn't think negatively. It doesn't have doubt. It doesn't go back to check. It's just creating in this beautiful flow of love. So if it has an idea and allows it to be felt, it's going to show up in other places, because this loving being just creates. And it kind of replicates all around it. Little more of this and a little more of that, and it says, oh, was this what you were thinking of? Oh, here, it's over here. It's over here. Do you want more of this? And it's okay to say something like, I'm now looking for this. It's not that you're saying, I don't want that anymore. You're just shifting your thought, just like a child does. A child will be very random. First it wants ice cream, then it wants to go to the park, or then it's, hungry. And then it's like, I got to go take a nap. Or it's not even, they don't even state they have to take a nap. It's like all of a sudden you'll look behind you and they're sleeping. It's just telling you it's okay to imagine things and feel things. But I'm telling you each and every time that if what you are dreaming of has not come into reality, it's just because what you dream of or what you're wanting, or even stating to yourself, I am feeling very downward these days. I would really be careful in feeling that way. Find ways to slowly lift yourself back up. I understand that we're just wanting to say how we feel, but when we talk about feelings, just like that little flower I saw, I felt how beautiful, the feeling of the little hearts on the little petals, it really touched me. So feelings also create, even if we're talking in a downward way. And so if we're talking about feelings being downward, we're going to create more of that. And we're going to draw to us feelings in others that are also downward. And we're not seeing that our own downward feelings are drawing to us those who are also feeling that way. And what else can happen is in a downward feeling, we also become the experience of victim. We'll start talking about, oh, I'm not good enough, maybe that's why my product's not selling. We'll start talking about how everybody, doesn't love me like they used to, or my children don't love me, or my family doesn't love me, or people don't call me anymore, or all these feelings, that you're just experiencing, and it might only been like a bleep of time. Maybe even if it's a year, that's just a bleep, It's up to us. We're the creator. We get to experience what we want, but it goes through feelings. So my response was, forgot to write that down. I do apologize, but I will read it for you if I can find it. Here it is. I wrote, good day. In just speaking, I feel you are creating... sorry, I mistyped something, or was it Siri? In just speaking, I feel you are recreating the experience of going not in your favor, because he was talking about not going in your favor. If I were experiencing something, I wrote to him, I would ask myself, did I have an expectation? Why am I expressing a feeling to another that is not in my favor? What words am I speaking to myself? Would I speak these words to a young adult if I was trying to encourage? So if we really monitored our thoughts each day, or even for like 5 minutes, if we're maybe it's speaking to another, or maybe it's our random thoughts that we're having towards the day. If we recorded them and listened to them, if we were really honest with ourselves and asked ourselves, would I share this with a young adult who really needed to feel better about themselves? I can tell you probably not. Because we should always talk to ourselves as we would someone we're trying to remind that this spark of light in me is also in you. That there is a way to climb, but it is through coaching yourself. No one can climb for you. We can be a spark that reminds you of the spark within you. I had a friend from long ago. She's like, you're like the spark of, it was Harry Potter, like the spark in the wand when you come into a room. And it's funny because it does remind me of how I feel sometimes. I just feel like I've had so many the experience of the near death or going up in the high states. I feel like I've kind of went up to bring that spark here to share with everyone, because I know that it's in all of us. But I also know, as it was almost 20 years ago, I remember being in tears because I so wanted to wake everyone up. I so wanted everyone to know it doesn't have to be this bad. You don't have to feel this way. Your life could be uplifted and feel good. But as I said that, all of a sudden I heard this voice. And I think we're hearing it more and more, many more of us. And it's not something that's pushy or mean. It's the most loving voice. It's so loving. You'll feel the warmth come over you first. And it'll speak in such a way that doesn't make you right or wrong. It'll just allow you to understand something. And what the voice spoke, it just told me that it wasn't for me to worry, that all would come in their time. And, you know, those words touched me deeply. It reminded me that it's okay for me to keep doing what I enjoy doing. And just like my sister did pose the question on Facebook during, I think it was the first series, before the first series I did with the Patty in the AM. She had posted the question, is there a charge for this? And I said, no, this is something that I've been wanting to do. I've definitely felt prompted to do for a very long time. The first word that came into my headspace, and I didn't even know what it really meant, was podcast. So that's how long ago it was. It was when podcasts were, the term podcast was first coming out. I didn't even know what it was. And so here I am every morning, every Monday morning at 7 a.m. because I want you all to understand that we really are all in this together. But we are the decider, we are the creator that gets to bring into our experience what we want by speaking of it. So think about the things we speak of. Are we speaking of how everyone loves me? How are we speaking of I love living life? Or are we speaking of how I just enjoy being here? How I love or enjoy illuminating, like with another, like feeling that joy, that high when we are both in the same headspace together. We get it, and sometimes there's no words spoken. We're just kind of sitting there together enjoying a space. Like, what are the things we talk about? We talk about the things you love. I understand that there are little strifes that we might go through, but I can tell you more and more and more and more, as many times as I want to tell you, because I do want to get this through us all. The more you talk about strife, the more you experience it. So what I always tell everybody, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before in one of these videos in the last several years, the Patty in the AM I know is new, but I've been doing these videos here and there for a long time, just not on a frequent, or I should say scheduled basis. It was more random. But the best thing you can ever tell yourself or another is, I'm getting better and better each and every day and in every way. It's a very general statement, but it's a beginning. And you can say this for other people. You can say this for yourself. You can say this for your pets, whatever it might be. And then, as you're going through this, you're going to see that you can tweak it as you go along. Tweak it just a little bit. Like even Dallas. He's very calm. And it's like, because we've all talked about how calm he is. Like he might get a little, like if I talk about him getting wound up by the cat, that's what I'm going to experience. But if I talk about me being calm and Dallas being calm, he's just going to sit here beside me. I didn't even have to pick him up. He was already sleeping in the chair way before we ever started. And someone might say, like, well, that's because maybe you were up early. And it's like, no, if you know this dog, he can definitely have what they refer to as the zoomies. He's a Frenchie. He's got a little bit of Boston in him, but he's mostly Frenchie. And he's just high energy usually. So we don't want to get into that too much. We want to speak how he's, even like with the dog, do we speak on like, oh gosh, he's always chewing everything? Or do we speak on, no, he knows which toys are his, and those are the only ones he ever picks up. What is the story you tell, even about an animal? So I'm telling you, again and again and again, we have the power. It wasn't just Dorothy that had the power all along. Each and every one of us do, but we really need to monitor that true being. How do we speak about ourselves? How do we speak about others? That's a good one to get into, too. I can't tell you, I know in my own life, how many times, I've been married before, how many times have I talked about, my spouse maybe, and was frustrated with him because I felt maybe he wasn't listening. So even just saying or feeling that he's not listening is going to make it become bigger. The more you talk about it, the bigger it becomes. So if you're married or you just have a significant other, it's a new relationship even. You know, if you start getting a little bit frustrated with something, let it go. It's almost like move it to the side and focus on what you love. Focus on what you want to love more. Focus on something that really is true. Because I'm telling you, just like the light in the tunnel, I've seen it. I mean, it's funny because when you first enter into that light, or before you get to it, I didn't actually go beyond it, but I do know that feeling. It's like you're all in darkness, and all you can see is that speck of light in the distance. And once you see it, your being like goes so fast towards it. But mine came back. So for me, it reminds me that light is our true calling. Focus on what's light. Focus on what's light in another. Because there's, like, if you want to focus on what's not good in another, you could probably go on and on and on and on and on. But why would you do that to another? Why would you do it to yourself? I can guarantee you, if you do it to another, you might find that you do it to yourself more often than you realize. I mean, I'm in the business of doing a lot of one-on-one with people, and I can tell you that I don't mean to redirect people, but I know I have to redirect people because I want them to really understand what it is they're saying to themselves. Because we're so worth it. We're so worth honoring our own being. We're so worth loving ourselves. We're so worth speaking highly to ourselves. We're so worth love. I want you to practice for the next few days. Just try it. Try it. I'm telling you, just try it. It's just something simple. Something very simple. I want you to go to your mirror. And I want you to get in the practice every time you walk by it. Every time you see any reflection of yourself. And just simply say, I'm loved. It's all you need to say. And to someone else, it might seem pretty simple. And I'll tell you one thing, the truth is simple. When you try and complicate it, you're not speaking in love. Love is so simple. The highest beings speak to you in the simplest of forms, to not complicate, because it doesn't want to be misconstrued, because it's loving. It doesn't misconstrue. It can't be anything other than what it is, and it's all trying to help us understand to know the love that you are. Because in that frequency, in this love that you are, all love is around you. You start noticing it, and you start seeing it in the flowers. You start seeing it in your friends. You start seeing it in your animals. You start seeing that feeling of love. And the more you focus and become that love, and remember that love within you, the more it becomes your experience. And I'm not saying you're going to get experiences that show up, that trip you up, and make you frustrated and be like, this doesn't work. And the more you say this doesn't work, the more you've shot yourself in your own foot before you even get out of the starting gate. And I'm here to tell you, it might take practice. Anything worth doing takes practice. And I've noticed that practice, like when you practice something worthwhile, it's like a natural act. It's like something that's in your being like that can simply say, I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. The more we say it, the more it rings true. The more we say it, the more we find, wow, I am loved. It just shows up in everyone who meets me, to the point of you no longer need to say it because it's become a natural act. And I was speaking with another client when we were, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. Anyways, but it was, because one of my examples is, think on when I was younger, I don't know how they teach how to remember how to spell a word now, but I know when I was a young girl, because I'm 60 now, we would learn by repetition. We would write the word 10 times. We would say the word out loud. We would sometimes use flashcards. But it's because what you practice becomes a natural act. And to this day, I'm a phenomenal speller because I can see it in my mind, the way to write a word. And sometimes, if it's a word I don't know, sometimes it will show up. Like almost I'll hear it in my higher self. I have learned to not doubt myself. My higher self just knows. So just believe and trust in it. But it also works with flashcards, like when we did with multiplication tables and addition. I feel, in my experience, that if you really want to put something in you to remember, use flashcards. And why do I say that? Because what you put before you becomes you. And that is true, like when we get back into speaking. You know, it's those words become us. And it's almost like you speak them to another, it's a mirror before you, and it becomes you. And we do this also, like, think about when we eat, and I've brought this up before with people. Like when we're eating, do we feel the food that we're going to put in our body is good for us? Are we feeling that it might not be the best for us, and we're still eating it? It doesn't matter if it's good or bad for you. If you think it's bad for you, it will become bad in your body. It will not, it'll disagree with your body, so to speak. So the other thought is, when we're angry, if we're angry and we eat, it also will not agree with us because it's trying to tell us to be in a state of love. That if we're not feeling right, we have ways to make us feel better. And it is by telling ourselves, in the practice of telling ourselves, something as simple as, I am loved. And in the weeks that follow, maybe you could even add something more simple. I am love. They're just true statements. And if you don't feel like you have people around you or animals or plants or anything around you that feels loved, makes you feel loved, it's because you're working towards showing yourself that you are loved. You don't need a specific person, plant, dog, cat, or grain of sand to make you feel loved. You're already loved. It's like, why would you want to waste energy on doing something that you already are? If I could show you, and I have taken pictures. I've taken pictures of Jesus rising off the water, the emerald tablets, so many different pictures to show you it's not just me. It's all around us. But each one of those pictures is projected through me. So it's coming through that state of being that I know without even talking about it, I am loved. I can say it without even hesitation. Of course I am loved. What do we come from? A beautiful energy of love. I don't want anyone to have to go there to remember it, but oh my gosh. If you felt this love, allowed yourself to feel this love, you would go down on your knees and just cry because it's that beautiful. It's that loving. It reminds me of when I still remember one of my nieces, just being near her when she was first born. That feeling, you could feel the warmth of love just emanating from her. But it's much more than that. I'm talking a warmth that just, like I said, it brings you to your knees. It just makes you, tears come out of your eyes because it's just a rejoice. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot. How did I ever leave something like this? How did I ever forget that there was so much love? So let's remember this love today. Let's bring it forth in all our words. We all have days and moments when we are not in our best. But let's find something that uplifts us. Speak to ourselves in another way. And that's why I'll talk to others about, even my girlfriends, about, let's use letters of the alphabet. I'm telling you, it works every time. Start going through a few letters of the alphabet. You don't even have to go through the whole alphabet. Use A. What's a word that lifts you, but that begins with A. You could just say anything alphabet. Does that make you happy? It doesn't matter. Applesauce, Apple Jacks, apple pie. B, beautiful, bountiful. C, courageous, charisma, collective. D, delightful. But I'm telling you, if you practice speaking better words to yourself. It's like learning and teaching yourself a new language to speak. And it's been in you all along. So let's work on this together. If you have any questions, please feel free to send it to me and I will go over it. We'll see you next Monday at 7 a.m. I love you all so very, very much. Be beautiful. Be loved. Know that you are loved.